How's it going, everyone? I sold some corals a little while ago, and the guy I sold the corals to had a few questions on how my tank actually worked. So I'm going to be going through in depth and telling everyone how it works. The tank is a 30-gallon deep blue with a custom 10-gallon sump. I'm pretty proud of the custom cabinet I built, and underneath you'll find 4 aqua lifter pumps. There is one for calcium, there is one for alkalinity, one for magnesium, and the other one's for the ATO. I know what you are thinking, and yes, those are jars. One jar is for calcium, one jar is for alkalinity, and the other one's for magnesium. Currently, I don't need to dose any because I use kalkwasser. Refilling the jars is very easy. All you do is just twist the jar and it comes loose. I've purchased many things over the years for this fish tank, and I can honestly say the Apex is definitely one of the best investments I've ever made. If there's anything wrong with my tank, anything, low water, tank's too hot, I can get a text message on my phone saying what the problem is, and I can actually control every single outlet anywhere in the world. On my particular system, I have an Apex Junior with an EB8, a VDM, and a PM1. Please excuse the light in the center of my cabinet. I'm building a new LED system that will be controlled from the Apex. It's just not finished yet. I've had quite a few reef tanks in the past, and one obstacle I've always had were ugly power cords. With this build, I wanted to change that. I took 1/2-inch PVC, cut a slice in the middle with a Dremel, then painted and mounted them. With the clean look, everyone who checks out my tank always has questions. From the front of the tank, you can barely see any power cords. That's exactly what I wanted. When water comes into the sump from the overflow, it is first skimmed from the SCA 301. Then it enters the second chamber. Here 2 heaters warm the water. In the same chamber, the ATO, calcium, alkalinity, and magnesium outputs release vital fluids. Also, extra live rock and chaeto are stored. When water enters the third chamber, it hits a foam filter. A white water line shows when fluids are too low. The Mag 3 return pump sends the filtered water back into the display. And here is the sump's float sensor. When the water gets too high, it automatically shuts the ATO off. The pH and temperature probes are located before the heater in the calcium, alkalinity, magnesium, and calc dosing outputs. This is for more accurate readings. Here is a quick view of my overflow. In the left-hand corner, you can see a float valve. Once the water in the overflow gets too high, it turns the float valve on and shuts off the return pump. In the closet right behind the fish tank is where I keep my 5-gallon jug of kalkwasser. What I use is a system of 3.5 teaspoons per 5 gallons. Above the kalkwasser is where I store my fish food, testing kits, filters, and anything else needed. On the side of my cabinet, I have 3 switches. The first one is an auxiliary switch for future. The second one turns off the lights for the calcium, alkalinity, and magnesium jars. And the third one, when I press it, it's a 25-minute timer so I can feed my corals. The fan located inside my cabinet sucks warm air from inside and blows it out through this hole. Some of the pieces from the top of the stand can actually be removed so I can access any wiring. The lighting system is a 24-inch 6-bulb with custom nanobox LEDs installed. It's cooled with a Noctua NF-P12. I also custom installed 2 full spectrum Nanobox 13-up version 2s. You can get them from nanobox.com. For the T5 bulbs, I chose ATI. I'm using 3 blue plus, 1 purple plus, 1 coral plus, and 1 actinic. The LEDs are also wired directly to the apex, so I can control when they go on and off, and I can also control the spectrum between the blue, white, red, and green. One of the problems with owning a rimless aquarium are fish jumping out. Here is my solution. I just use some egg crate, cut it to the width of my tank, and basically when I leave the house, I just put it over top of the tank and it works well. I haven't had a single fish jump out. When it comes to feeding my corals, I broadcast feed every day. I use a combination of Tropic Marin, Coral Frenzy, Reef Chili, and Cyclopes. I feed my fish 2 times a day using a combination of cobalt, Mysis spirulina, and seaweed pellets. They love them both. For other food and additives that need to be chilled, I use a combination of Reef Plus, Aqua Vitro Fuel, Foal's Coral Vitalizer, Oyster Feast, and Selcon. I soak either Reef Plus or Aqua Vitro in coral food once a week. I add Oyster Feast in coral food every other day. I soak Selcon in fish food maybe twice a month. Before I feed the corals, I use 1 drop of Coral Vitalizer 10 minutes before. This lets the corals open up and get ready to eat. When I'm ready to feed my corals, I push the button on the side of the tank. What this does is it turns off my MP10 for 25 minutes. This is plenty of time for the corals to eat all the food in the tank that I add. Thanks for watching.